Hello there, beautiful people. Today I wanted to offer a little somatic movement exploration all about splitting your legs. And you might wonder, I can't do the splits, I'm not an acrobat, why would I want to split my legs? Well, the capacity of your pelvis and your hip joints to move in opposition to one another, as one leg comes forward, the other leg is trailing behind, and then they switch, is actually completely relevant to everyday movements like walking and running and getting up from the floor. We don't tend to get up from the floor with our legs glued together. So in taking a little time just to play and explore and refine and clarify the capacity of your hip joints to move in opposite directions and split the legs, you might find you're able to make everyday movements with a lightness and an ease and buoyancy you didn't know was possible. So if you'd like to join me, find somewhere you can sit comfortably on the floor with enough padding that your joints are comfortable, but you can still feel a sense of contact with the ground beneath you. And just come to sit in a side sitting position with one leg in front of the other. So the knee of the leg that's behind will just kind of be in line with the foot in front, and the other foot can just be out behind you, and whatever orientation is comfortable for your foot. And begin just by placing the palms of your hands in front of the knee that's in front, and just find out, is it comfortable to be here? You're welcome to put a support or padding under one knee, under one hip. You can raise the floor so that your hands, if this is a strain or a stretch to be down here, you could move in front of a couch or a coffee table or even a base of a chair and rest your arms on that. So you have full permission to adapt and find the support you need, so you're able to learn without any distraction, without any nagging pain or strain, because it's really hard to make sensory distinctions and explore novel movement pathways when you're distracted by pain. So that's the foundational principle here. And then see, is it possible to come down on your forearms? Again, you can raise the floor in whatever way you need if this is too much of a stress to be here. And in your imagination, just begin to sense, how would I switch the position of my two legs? If I was going to bring the leg that's behind to be in front and the leg that's in front to be behind, how would I make this scissoring of the legs? So take a few moments just to conjure a picture in your imagination, in your perception of how would you do that? Would your pelvis move? Would your spine round, or would it elongate and lengthen? And then when you have a sense of that, go ahead and try it. Be gentle with yourself, but don't think about doing it right or any specific way. And you can start just by making the smallest movement, maybe just bringing the foot to contact, or the knee to contact the foot that's in front. And you might begin to discover, this movement kind of stops right about here. I feel like my upper body is limiting this trajectory. So maybe you find a different placement for your arms and your hands. And get curious about what your head and eyes are doing. Do you tend to look straight in front of you on the horizon? Do you look down to your hands or your belly button? What would it be like to actually look at your legs? Does that help the movement feel any easier? What would it be like to look around to the shoulder that's behind? Does that create any change in your pelvic tilt? The shape of your spine? And then take a little break from this position. As soon as you notice a bit of muscular strain or fatigue, that's a sign you want to rest. So you can come and lie on your back. Perhaps rolling your head a little one way and then the other. And then you'll come to sit up in the same way. But before you immediately jump to doing that, notice how you prepare. How do you begin to bend and fold your legs? Do your knees come together? Or do you keep your legs more or less in a split position? And then arrange yourself in the same way, the same side seated position. Forearms on the floor or on a raised surface if that was easier for you. And then a couple times try rounding your pelvis and your lower back. So you're tucking your tailbone, and try splitting your legs. And you might find this is kind of a different sort of resistance. The top leg might be quite free to move, but the bottom leg, it's just kind of stuck there. So what would it be like to find the opposite tilt in your pelvis? So it's a gliding of your pubic bone down between your legs, a sense of your tailbone coming towards the ceiling. And then when you've found a comfortable way of being with that extension in your lower back and lengthening of your pubic bone, go ahead and try splitting the legs. Are the legs suddenly a little lighter, a little easier to maneuver? And again, with this particular tilting of your pelvis, does that change what your head and your spine does? Where do your eyes go? Are they looking on the horizon? Do you find it's helpful to look around to see your knees moving? Then once again, take a little pause, either in sitting or rolling onto your back. Taking in the environment you're in, maybe just letting the eyes drift around your space. And then coming to the same side-seated position, forearms on the floor in front of you. And once again, find your favorite way of splitting the legs, whatever made your legs light, to slide, to maneuver, to glide over top of one another. What did you have to do with your pelvis, your spine, your head? And notice when one knee is in front, if you just kind of kept sliding, kept going, where would that take you? Would it take you onto your belly? And then coming back, reversing the movement, not going so far that you find you can't reverse it. And then with the other splitting, where might this take you? Would you, if you kept going, would you come to sit up? Maybe you could come to roll onto your back. So give yourself a few moments just to play with this, just to delight in what you've discovered, because there's certain ways of organizing that help facilitate rolling to the belly, rolling to the back, coming up to sit. And you can test your theory. You can try, doing the opposite. Could I roll to my back with my front leg in front? Probably not without flopping and flailing. Could I roll to my front with this other leg in front? Well, my legs would just kind of get stuck there. And then you can do a little experiment, rolling onto your back, taking a moment to pause, sensing your contact with the ground, rolling your head a little left and right. And then rolling to the side, noticing what's the earliest moment that your knees begin to bend? What's the sequence? Does the front knee bend slightly ahead? And then actually come to rest your knees on top of one another. And find out for yourself, could you come up to sitting in this way? So it's possible. It likely takes quite a bit of strength and effort. I really have to push into my arms. And then if I were going to come up to standing with this constraint, it would be pretty difficult. I'd have to really hoist the weight of my pelvis up into the air. So, it might be a strengthening exercise, but it certainly doesn't help you move in a efficient, responsive way that also conserves energy, which I'd say in today's modern world would be a good thing. So for contrast, roll back onto your back. Begin to come up to your side, resting the two knees on top of one another. And then seeing if you can recall that sensation, that movement of splitting your legs. And you can try it both ways. Finding out, when do you have the impulse to come up to sit? When do you have the impulse to roll onto your belly? And do this many times until it becomes quite obvious to you which leg do you want in front. in order to come up to side sitting and perhaps coming up to standing. And you can hang out on your side or on your forearms and just revisit that splitting of the legs. Is it a little easier now? Maybe you begin to get the sensation like you're running or you're riding a bike. And you can stop at any moment and discover, what is this good for? Where would this take me? Would I come up to sit? Would I come onto my belly? How can my skeleton support me in moving through the world and the movements I desire to make? And a couple times, just to integrate this into upright daily life, from your side sitting position, find a few different ways to come up to standing. And coming back down onto the floor, and again finding out, how would you split your legs to come back to where you started? Maybe you find you have a preference to fold and unfold one way. You could take your hands the other way, swing your legs out. So I hope that gives you a little taste of the functional movement of splitting your legs and what it's good for and how it can support you in moving with more ease and more stability and more confidence in yourself as you navigate the world. So I would encourage you to take a few more moments just to play with this. Discover something organic to yourself, something I didn't even offer, because that intelligence comes from within you and your attention and your curiosity to your own movement. And then go ahead and take this into an activity. It could be walking, could be riding your bike, it could be dancing, just something you love, something that's easy and pleasurable, and just sense for yourself. Is something a little different in how your limbs are coordinated, in the lift you feel from the ground, the lightness in moving one leg in front of the other. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you made any new discoveries for yourself in the comments below. Take good care.